So understandably, I'm not in the best of moods. But I guess what I really wanted to speak about, what I've been planning to speak about for a while, is politics. That sounds so weird. Because I'd usually say to people, I don't care about politics. I care about good government. I don't care about politics. And I guess government's what I'm really here to talk about. And that's really the crux of my whole point and my objection. Ever since the general election was announced, people have been talking about politics at church. And people have been asking us to express our views. And I have some very strong views on how I think this country should be run. But I also have some great issues with everyone who seems to want to run it. I don't really think any of them deserve to. There's not a political party, I think, that I would like to see in power. And I can't think of any of my local candidates who I think deserves to sit in the House of Commons. As near as I can tell, none of them have any ideals they're willing to stand up for beyond their party. None of them has any crusade, any values, any point to them, aside from parroting what their party's told them to say. It's the, hey, I'm the local Labour candidate, you should elect me because I'm Labour. Or the, I'm the local Conservative candidate, you should elect me because I'm Conservative brigade. They don't have individual policies. They don't have things they're passionate for that they're willing to say to you on the doorstep. And that's a problem with politics. Just to get into the game, you need to have money. As an independent, you need to raise your own funds. You need to pay just to be allowed to enter the election, not to publish or publicise or campaign. Just to be allowed to have your name on the ballot, you need to pay quite sizable sums of money. Then on top of that, you do need to campaign, and that can cost money in our media conscious environment. Although look at me, here am I speaking to you now, who knows how many people. If my usual viewing figures are anything to go by, all of none. But still, I'm speaking to the world in principle. Anyone can access this video from virtually anywhere. And if I personally were to be elected an MP, and if I were to be elected as a member of a political party, the first thing I would do would be to tell the whips where they could shove their whips. I'm not having some authorised individual telling me how I should vote on every issue, or almost every issue, because I'm a member of their party and they put up the money for my election. I've got to vote with my conscience. And if I've said to the people who elected me, these are my values and my ideals, well, when those values and ideals need to stand up for themselves in the Commons, whether my party likes it or not, that's what has to happen. That's why I could never be a party politician. And people ask me, well, why don't you go into politics? You have such strong views on so many different issues, and you look like you have ideas about how you think things should be run. You know, you don't just have a list of things you dislike, you have a list of things you think should be done to make the world a better place. And the answer is very simply because I wouldn't be given the opportunity to do anything about it. Even if I got elected as an independent, I would be given one opportunity to bring forward a private member's bill, perhaps in the entire course of one term of Parliament. If the government has to call an election every 4 years, more or less, before the next time an election comes up, I might get the chance to submit one private member's bill. That's just based on my guesstimate. And the government doesn't have to allot any time to debating that bill. They could say, yes, you have 5 minutes to talk about your bill in the House of Commons, and then another 5 minutes for everyone else to talk about it and debate it. And then you'll get a vote at the end of period of time X. Well, suppose I really wanted to bring my ideals into the world, into this country, and I submitted some private member's bill. Oh, that would probably be something huge, because I don't think any of my ideas will really work in isolation. I have huge scoping plans for reform. This is how I say, I don't have one idea as to how the country should be run differently. I have thousands of ideas, and they all have to work together for it to work again. My ideas are a system of reforms. And for that, you'd have some huge 500-page document, something like that. But you could never debate in probably 5 days, never mind 5 minutes. And after that, this huge, intimidating bill, if it ever got allowed to get to the vote point, the MPs would then have to vote on this bill, one way or the other, based upon a minuscule amount of time, and with the fact that most of their whips would probably say, do not vote for this bill, because this bill will overturn X many laws and replace them with new laws that we don't particularly like. And there you have it. That's why I wouldn't be a politician. I think that the whole political system has lost its way, if it ever found its way to begin with. It's supposed to be about compassion and justice. They are lawmakers. Their principal job in life is to make fair laws. Laws that are good, that protect the innocent and the vulnerable, and that set things back to rights. When we have broken situations, when the world is being unfair, as the world often is, as it was to me today, when someone took away my console from me, my Nintendo DS, either because of a person, of a volcanic eruption, or coincidences, our laws are there to make the world a fairer place, to make things just. And our social policy comes out of that. If we have welfare laws, they're because it isn't fair that someone can just lose their job and find themselves homeless on the street just like that. If we have a national health system, which is founded by a government act, then it should be because it isn't fair that people can just catch diseases and just fade away to nothing and no one does anything about it, when there are things people could do. It isn't fair. The government doesn't exist to give us a cushy life, to make the economy always work well, to prevent anything from ever going wrong. But what they can do is try to make things fairer, can try to produce laws that are just and fair to people. And I think they've lost sight of this entirely. I think they now see themselves primarily as a mechanism for ensuring that the majority of the people in the UK have a comfortable life, and therefore will be willing to vote them in next time. Never mind the minority who are in desperately unfair situations, desperately harsh situations. Never mind the minority who may be being exploited or oppressed by laws that were designed to appease the views of the masses. It doesn't matter that the laws are fair, it only matters that the general public, Joe Blogg in the street, approves. That it satisfies his various fears, and terrorism laws are a lot like that. Paedophilia laws can be a lot like that. I think I should continue this because I'm running out of time.